Well, Jollywood got off to a rocky start. They've done some changes. Was it enough? We'll talk about that tonight. Also, some more holiday stuff has come up that we want to talk about, and some weirdness with the frozen faces, all tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome, friends, to ParksCenter for Sunday, November 19th, 2023. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We appreciate you. If you've not already, please subscribe to this channel, WDWNT-TV. If we get 10 people in tonight, I get a free tote bag, so that would be great. And then also, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up, as it helps people to find us and find this lovely panel that we have together. We're all friends. We're all friends here, including... including Desi, but we'll start with Kamila. How are you, Kamila?
Hi everyone.
I feel like Desi might be just frozen.
No.
So we'll get back to her. But Shannon, what's going on, Shannon?
Yeah, I don't know what Christmas is, but Christmas time is here, everyone.
Wow. Okay. Thank you guys for being...
That was me auditioning for Deep in the Plus.
that
Christmas
was
special, if you haven't already done it.
No, let's get it. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We really appreciate you. A lot of stuff has happened this week, including the fact that there was this awful weird rumor that happened. And it's weird because I saw this breaking and I was like, oh my gosh. And then we came back and said, well, wait, it was debunked. So we're like, wah. So backstory is that in Q1, Bobby Iger said, hey, we're going to be bringing an Avatar experience to Disneyland. And it's so funny because I feel like that's so divided on Avatar. Either you really, really love it and you speak Na'vi fluently, or you kind of just don't get it. So I can't wait to see what everybody on the panel has to say about that. But so there was an article that we posted that said that the Avatar attraction would be located in California Adventure at Disneyland Resort. And this came up at IAPA, I believe, that somebody had heard this information and decided that they would put that out there. And then we got information that Disneyland immediately said, oh, no, we're not saying that. We're not saying it's going to be there, but, there is going to be this experience. So, Kamila, I want to go to you on this one first. First of all, do you care about an Avatar experience? And then obviously, it feels like Hollywood Backlot needs something. Why not put this there? Just thoughts?
So I kind of would maybe rather see this in Disneyland, just because, and we don't know a lot about what it will be, but the current Avatar land, Avatar attractions, they're so pretty and they are so well lit up at night. And I feel like DCA already has a lot of really pretty lands that have great lighting at night. Avengers Campus, Cars Land. And I feel like Disneyland needs some love. And I feel like specifically there's maybe some room in Tomorrowland. But overall, do I care about something like this? If I'm being completely honest, not particularly. It's not my favorite IP. The rides for me are not must do when I go to Disney World. But I know a lot of people love it. And so if it can generate some excitement, that's great.
Well, David had said in chat, how about a walkthrough experience? And it reminded me, do you guys remember the Pirates of the Caribbean walkthrough that they had at Hollywood Studios? It was Narnia before that. And you would walk in and see something and then walk out. I would rather have that on that Hollywood backlot where that Avengers gift shop was instead of nothing. So, I always would rather have something rather than nothing. But if you're going to bring Avatar to California, I feel like you should bring them Flight of Passage, but I could be wrong. Shannon, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same complaint I have with Galaxy's Edge, which is why are you putting something in both parks, right? Both U.S. parks anyway. I don't want to go to the same exact thing. I didn't even go to Galaxy's Edge on my most recent trip to California because it's the same as Florida. Now, cool if they do something a little different, but like you said, Rob, I'm in the camp of I've never been a fan of Avatar, the movie. I do love Pandora and I love the attractions, the rides there, but give me something new. Give me another Cars Land that makes me want to pay money to go out there.
Okay. I'm seeing we have a super chat from Jake, who is saying he's testing the system, but buddy, I don't see you in here, man. So I will give you the traditional. Ooh, and this one comes. I forgot when you got Shannon on. It comes with a dance. So thank you, Jake, for being a great friend, for trying to look into this for us. Not seeing it, but I appreciate your help. Anyway, thank you guys for doing that, and feel free to super chat all night. We just we'll talk about it. We just apparently can't display it tonight. So so let's move on to the next thing, which is Life Day. And what I find funny about this is, and I've mentioned this before, is I reach out to everybody on the panel and go, do you want to talk about this? And Kamila goes, no. And Shannon goes, no. And Desi goes, me. I'm talking about this. And so Life Day happens. Life Day happens. It's one of those things. And some of the things that they had for offerings, if you're not familiar, Desi will explain it to you in a second, so I won't. But one of the things that I saw that I was like, that's really cool, is this Life Day spork. Because if you know the legend of the spork, that they put them out in Galaxy's Edge, people started stealing them, they took them away, and they went, wait, what if we put them in a bag and sold them to people for $12? And they said, okay. And now they have specialty ones for Life Day. I love all that. Desi, school the kids on Life Day.
If you don't know what Life Day is, it's probably because you haven't watched this special from the 1970s, the Star Wars Holiday Special, in which Chewbacca has to get back to his family for the Wookiee holiday of Life Day, in which all of the Wookiees dress up in their red robes, they carry around their crystal balls, and Princess Leia sings a song, in addition to a lot more really trippy things. But that's the basic gist of Life Day. And I mean, I have been asking for more Life Day representation since I've been doing ParksCenter, and I feel like they keep listening to me every year, and thank goodness. But I'm still waiting to see Chewbacca in his red robes in the parks. I hope that we are also getting that Life Day spork here. I haven't seen it at Walt Disney World, but if it's here, I'm getting a full set. My family is going to be eating out of nothing but Life Day sporks. I did buy the Chewbacca in his red robe action figure. I'm probably going to need to buy a red robe for myself as well.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you've got the action figure, you can't just walk around with the action figure and not own the robe. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's like American Girl 101. You get the small size and then you dress like it. That's what you got to do. Yeah, I mean, Life Day is one of those things that I think it's funny how much they've embraced it. And the funny thing to me also is it feels like every year after Life Day, there's a ton of merch left. So you would think they would go, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. But Desi goes, yes, please, we need more of this. There's actually there's a good amount of merch that happened. But this year they did a lot of treats too. Like and I think the treats were day of, but like cheesy blue orbs to celebrate. Do you just sprinkle something blue on it and it makes it Star Wars? Is that how that works?
And give it the Star Wars sounding name.
God, that saga is crazy. The whole thing where everything had a Star Wars sounding name on the menus, and then they went, you know what? People don't get this, so then they changed it to just like it's chicken, and now it's like tip yip. And then it says chicken underneath. It's very strange. But yeah, I do think it's neat when they do all these events and they give food and merch and all that stuff. What's up?
If you think that it's crazy that they're going all out for some special that aired once on TV in the 1970s, it was also mentioned in the very first episode of The Mandalorian. So when he went and got the first bounty that he got in the show, the guy says, "Oh, I'm trying to get home for Life Day." So it is canon in the Star Wars universe.
But you know what? I was just going to say, like, I feel like this is a huge opportunity for Disney to educate people on what Life Day is. Like, shouldn't there be a show, a little, holiday offering show that tells the story of Life Day with Chewbacca? I don't know.
But in the parks, I agree with you. There should be that thing.
In the parks.
Yeah. They've got that stage. Yeah.
At Epcot, but in Galaxy's Edge with Chewbacca just going.
Exactly. I was literally just thinking that. Wouldn't it be great if they just had Chewbacca go and it was just like, yeah, it would be fantastic. And then maybe had somebody doing like sign language at the same time, but no one speaking English. That would be perfect. I don't know. I agree with you, Kamala. That actually occurred to me as well. That wouldn't it be cool if they did some kind of a storytellers of Life Day the same way they do at Epcot for the Festival of Holidays. So maybe they'll import it into Epcot when they build the the Kashyyyk pavilion, because I mean if we've got one from Xandar, why not? Yeah.
All my dreams would come true.
Perfect. So let's move on and talk about this. This is horrifying. We've already talked about the fact that I know, right? We've already talked about the fact that Hong Kong got the real, and we'll talk about the world of Frozen from Hong Kong later, but the Hong Kong got the real animatronic faces, but like looking at this and their heads still moving and them swinging back and forth like the kids from The Shining. I mean, it's very scary. I mean, Shannon, this is the stuff of nightmares. Talk to me about this one.
If I had $1 for every time we talked about these screen faces in Frozen on this show, because they're so horrible, and it's like, at what point is Disney gonna say, we can't be putting this out there? Like, they're so crazy about controlling like characters, like, walking around characters and how they interact with people and what they do, and like you've got these characters with these Squid Game masks on, basically. It's like terrible. And like, and the point of that post was that someone waits a ridiculous amount of time or pays, for their lightning lane. I'd be pissed. So Disney, fix it.
Yeah, well, and that's what it was on TikTok, and what they said was like, I waited 120 minutes for this. And that's true. Like I may have told the story already that we had like fought. This was back when, I don't know if you guys remember Fast Pass, but it was a thing that was free. And like I fought to get one for Frozen, take my daughter when she was younger, and we got there and got through the Fast Pass line and got on, and the people in front of us were filming with flashlights on the entire time. And so when we got off and talking, and when we got off, I just let loose about it, and they like let us go back through again. One little thing can ruin this for you. And so the faces, I don't know how you explain that to your kids. Like when you just don't see the faces, like even like Olaf's eyes are just closed, and it's just like, because even his eyes are projections. So this is another great reason to have this. I think the second this happens, and I don't know how the system works. I know it's hard for you guys at home to believe that I don't know how things work at Disney in the IT department, but I would feel like if this happened, there should be some kind of an alert immediately to let people know this ride is 101, we need to stop immediately, or some like shaman of songs pull them back and drop a curtain and project it, something that would keep them from having this experience, because it's less than magical. But anyway, Desi, thoughts?
It is surprising that they don't have a B mode for this the same way they do for Kylo Ren or the Shaman of Songs. I have seen it before on Mickey and Minnie's faces in Runaway Railway, so I wonder if they have a B mode for that as well. Because that was also terrifying to see it for Mickey and Minnie. But I feel like this looks even creepier, because the Mickey and Minnie heads are already weird looking, so I don't mind not seeing their faces. But this, I feel like if I was a little child seeing that, and Anna and Elsa were my favorite princesses, I would be very upset.
Yeah, and I need to let Kamila talk, because she looks very terrified.
This ride is so frustrating to me, and it's to the point where I don't even bother trying to get a Frozen Lightning Lane, because every time I've gotten one, the last few times I've been to Epcot, the ride goes down, and then you get that multi-experience, which is a joke, because the other rides are not all comparable to being able to go on Frozen. I got lucky when I was just at Epcot last week, but it was the last ride that I did, and I knew that was a gamble. Will it even be up and working? Luckily it was, and luckily, it was like a 35-minute wait and standby. But it's just frustrating that they struggle with this ride so much, and I would be so upset if you get to that point and it's a black screen.
Yep. No, for sure. Before we go any further, I have somewhat of good news that it is fixed. Look at that. And there you go, Jake. Testing super chats. Also, I love Stitch and Rob W.
Me too.
Blessings. And then we also got one. That'll be the next super chat. Now he has to pay another $1.99 to be able to say that and save face. This one from Jungle Cruiser, Desi, you glossed over B Author's tour de force performance. She made the whole show going to wear my Life Day robe on Christmas. Jungle Cruiser, appreciate you so much. As a matter of fact, we need to just one more time get
and
that
Jefferson
sound.
Starship.
Yep, there you go.
Such a good dance.
It is. It's worth it.
That dance
It's worth
looks
it's
like the stir whip lady in the Star Wars Holiday Special, just to bring it all full circle.
Bring it full circle. It's just, you know what? It's just, honestly, it's worth the, if you guys are at home, it's worth the super chat. Honestly, like, I mean, it really is. Let's talk about more holidays. So there is a ton of stuff that came up about holidays in general that are happening. And there's a lot of stuff that I looked at and I shared with you guys. So I definitely want to hear of the things, because there's too much. Right? We've talked about holidays so much, and every time they put up a tree or they paint something red or put a Santa hat on anything, we report it. So we're not gonna necessarily talk about that, but I do want to kind of have you guys look at the list of stuff we were talking about tonight and pick something you want to talk about. But I'm going to start first because this is one of my favorite traditions, and it's not a Disney World tradition, it's a Disneyland tradition, which is the hand-pulled candy canes at the Disneyland Resort. They do them on Main Street and then also at the Trolley Treats over in Disney California Adventure. They have released, that these are the dates that you can go and get them. It's kind of a complex process because this is actually a very big tradition for a lot of people. And so to avoid the huge lines, and maybe they started this around COVID, I can't remember, they do like a ticket system where you get in and you get your ticket and then, then you go back and get your candy cane later. But it's such a neat tradition. I love that this exists. I wish that there was something similar to this at Walt Disney World, but the fact that it exists in Disneyland is so neat. I kept trying to convince my family we should do this. They all hate candy canes, and I'm like, it's not about the candy. It's about getting one. And they're like, nope, we're not going to do that. Let's go ride Soarin', even though we have one in Florida. So let me pass this down to you, Desi, if you looked at the list, something that's coming that you are excited about from the new offerings.
Yes. So treats. Treats is what I'm excited about from the new offerings. I was just looking through the list. I have had the frozen salted caramel cocoa already. It's fantastic. I ordered 2, 1 for each of my kids. I wound up drinking most of it. Delicious. And don't call me a bad mom because they decided they would rather have apple juice. So
Okay.
yes, really good. Also, the mini bunt cake looks adorable, so I'm probably going to need to try that out too. All the treats.
All the treats. Gotcha. Throw a curveball, Kamila. Which of these are you excited about?
So I just got back from one of the first Mickey's Very Merry Christmas parties, and I had a wonderful time. And I will tell you, so I also attended the first Jollywood Nights, which I know we'll talk about in a minute, but to have gone to Jollywood and had that experience and then go to Mickey's Very Merry, like, I just think that is the best after hours special event that you can do at Walt Disney World. Now, I'm not including Disneyland events, but at Walt Disney World, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party is wonderful. I don't know that, because I went last year as well, and I don't know if there was anything that I felt like was so different, but I think just because I kind of knew what I wanted to make sure I hit, I saw the parade, I have my favorite viewing spot over kind of by Frontierland. I love doing the Christmas overlays, like the Space Mountain one. It's just so fun. It's like a rock concert, but like a Christmas version, and it's lit up, doing the Tomorrowland Speedway, running around, getting all the different cookies, and the hot cocoa, the eggnog, the cider. I danced with they had like a live band that was singing really fun Christmas music, but they also had Chip and Dale in their Hollywood in their like Christmas costumes. Like it was just wonderful from start to finish, and it's so well done. The other thing I will say is I did see the gingerbread house over at the Contemporary. I was a little underwhelmed compared to what is going on over at the Grand Floridian. That one is a little small. I was like, where is the rest of it? But it's cute. I also saw the installations they have over at Yacht Club and Beach Club. Those were cute. Boardwalk was cute. And then also the Disney 100 ornaments at the tree that's up now over at Epcot. Really fun to just kind of like look at those, check those out.
Very cool. And Shannon?
I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. Something that's not new, but something that I just want to shout out because I love it so much and happy to see it back. But the Land Glimmering greenhouses. If you have not seen it, I went last year just to see it myself, and it truly is astounding how many Christmas lights they put up there. It's wonderful, and happy to see it back.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that's one of those things that we talked about. Like, I think I asked last week, like, is that an overlay? Does that count? But they've already started doing the install on that, and it takes a long time. Come on, I was like, of course it is. What are you, crazy?
It definitely is.
But I mean, it's one of those things that you don't. It's kind of like unexpected. Like we expect it now because we go every year and we see it. And we want to see it, but it was not something that existed from the beginning. Something they've added slowly over the years, and every year it seems to get bigger. So I agree with you. That's one of my favorites that happens. So let's move on to talk about Jollywood because boy howdy. We talked about Jollywood last week on the show, and we were just looking at the offerings. And to me, the offerings were pretty exciting because, there's Nightmare Before Christmas, and you can't ever go wrong with me and Nightmare Before Christmas. But then we start looking, like Kamala was talking about, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. There are more events for the Christmas party. It is more expensive a ticket. And yet there are like 4 left between now and the end of the year. So if you want to go, you got to book it now.
Yeah, those tickets.
Yeah, it's like $179 starting price for adults and like I think $169 for kids. The Jollywood ticket is $159 for adults and $159 for kids. I don't know. I assume it's because they don't feel like there's a lot for kids there, so they probably just want to get that adult price ticket, but it's $159 instead. And there are 11 dates left, I think, and there are 10 available, which is just nuts to me because I think we had a lot of like excitement about it when it first came out. So as we're talking about this, I do want to give you guys at home the poll of the week and have you kind of weigh in for me about this event. And here's the question is, why aren't people going to Jollywood? And so go into the chat and pound or hashtag 1 through 8. Is it because it's new and untested? Is it because the offerings are lacking? Is it because it's too expensive? Is it because of the bad reviews? Because again, there were a lot of like YouTube thumbnails that were like tragic or disaster and all of this stuff. So I thought that was interesting. Is it because of the location, the studios? That's again Magic Kingdom versus studios. There's something to be said about that. Is it because of the days available? There are less of them, even though they're not sold out. There are less of them. And then is it something else, or is it that you would if you could? Like sometimes it's just I can't get there. I feel like Shannon, you said that before. Is like you would have gone, but you just couldn't get there. So let us know what you think as we talk about this. But so there are some, speaking of offerings, we've reviewed more since last week when we spoke. So the sunset season greetings is up. We've got this holiday fiesta that's going on. The food at the booth, we reviewed that stuff. That's on the site. And then there's a robotic arm camera capture, and you can see how that's set up if you go to our site. But one of the things that happened is that they released a survey about this, asking guests what they thought. So apparently Disney might have panicked. And when they did, they released a survey, and it asked about like that little dude right there, Ollie, who is apparently their mascot. I didn't know that was his name. I didn't know that was a thing. There's not a walk around character. What? That if that's your new mascot, put your boy out there so everybody can see him. I feel like, so that's one thing that was in the survey. But what they ended up doing was they brought in some characters, more characters than they had the first time around, including Santa Stitch. Jake, hello. Jake said that fixed everything for him when they brought him back. And Santa Duffy, are you freaking kidding me?
Duffy, oh,
yeah,
it's not fair.
And so they brought back those characters. They've got Mickey, not Mickey. They've got Jiminy Cricket and Pinocchio, and they've got so many other characters that they've brought in. They fixed the check-in situation, which I'm hearing is a nightmare. And I'm going to throw all this to you, Kamila, because you could tell us if you felt like all this stuff went wrong. The check-in apparently was a nightmare scenario, and then the Tip Top Club was apparently like a hours wait to get like a mixed cocktail, and then the check-in for the Brown Derby, they fixed that too, adding that to the app. So they've seen the error of some of the things they've done operationally. I still stand by the fact that I look at these offerings and think that they're pretty cool, and I'd like to do them. But Kamila, tell us how it was, boots on the ground the first week.
First of all, let me just start and say, how dare you, Disney, to pull out Santa Duffy for the second party, but not the first. Like,
Hysterical.
how dare you? Absolutely not. Like, first of all, I didn't even know they had that costume like in Florida. No, but so my experience, so I did go to the first ever Jollywood Nights, which I think was on November 11th. And what's interesting is, so I kind of have a rule where I hate how with the special event parties and the after hours parties, there's like that usually 2-hour period where day guests are still in the park. But special event guests can also enter. And so the parks swell, they become so busy. I try to avoid that. But if you try to go and get that extra time in the park when you have a special event, I tend to find that's when you run into those really long lines. What I did is the party officially started at 8:30 p.m. And I walked in literally, I got off the Skyliner, I'm pretty sure like 8:35, was pretty much at the front gates. By 8:39, there was no line. I walked right in, there was no one. Now keep in mind, you could get in as early as 7 p.m., I believe, for the party. And so I think a lot of those people in those crazy long lines, those, they were trying to get in right at 7 when it opened. But it didn't close to day guests until 8 p.m. So I was trying to avoid the overlap. Now, the thing that's frustrating for someone like me who, yes, my experience getting into the event was very smooth. There was no wait, no line, very pleasant. But by the time I actually got into the park, some of the things that you needed to try to do, like join the wait list for, like the Hollywood Brown Derby, that part of the event, that was already completely gone. And I kept trying throughout the night, was never able to get it. And that's one of the events that, you're like, if you're going to this event, that's one of the things that you're going to be interested in. They had special cocktails, special food items there. So if you wanted to try any of that at the Hollywood Brown Derby, that was really hard to get in unless you were in some of those initial lines. And were able to get in early. So that was a nightmare. The other thing that I noticed, where they put some of these like special offering, I'm going to call them booths, even though they weren't really, but like if you wanted to try some of the special cocktails, some of the special food, just some of the special events that were unique to Jollywood Nights, they were in very strange areas. So like the En La Calle party, that was in that like narrow passageway over by ABC Commissary, I think it is. And it was just very strange because if you were trying to just walk through, you couldn't. If you were trying to go over there to hang out, like it was just, there was very little area for you to do so. There were no available tables. That line was very long. And it was the same thing for the Tip Top Bar, which was like more over by, where Tower of Terror is, over in that area, like just a very narrow area. There's a lot going on there normally. Like you have certain areas of Hollywood studios where you have so much space and where you could have maybe, more areas for people to sit, more areas for you to be able to serve. So those lines weren't so long because with these events, you pay a lot of money to go and there's only so much time. And so if you wanted to do a few rides and you wanted to, try some of these treats, it was almost impossible that first night, which is what I really noticed and found frustrating. I personally was not willing to wait in those lines. And it was a choice that I made. And I had a good time. I rode some rides I haven't done in a long time. There was definitely no wait there, but the atmosphere was very much like get dressed up, be in the parks, a lot of a date night feel. going on, which was fun. You know, girls' night, but we're dressed up too, was definitely there. But to me, one of the biggest misses, Galaxy's Edge had nothing. It was absolutely dead. To me, that's such an opportunity to dress that up. Like,
Chewbacca in
yeah,
his
like do
Life
some
Day
Life Day
outfit
events.
should have been
Do
there.
do anything, but there was nothing. And there's so much space back there, and you needed space. You put people in the same few areas, and that was a nightmare. And then the last thing I will just say, probably because it was the first one, but it was hard to kind of figure out exactly what was going on and where it was. So I kind of wish they did what they do like for the Christmas parties where, anywhere you see that like peppermint blow up, go there because there's an offering. Like I wish they would do something like that because I don't know Hollywood studios that well. And especially at night where you can barely see. So like it was hard for me to even find some of these different booths or areas where things were happening. And then the last thing I will just say, the NBC little story retelling, I thought that was dumb, to be honest. And I'm not a big NBC fan, so that could be part of it. But the set was clearly over the Frozen set that's normally there. I don't know. To me, I don't know. It's tough when it's the first one, and I think they were not ready. But also, that's not an excuse, Disney. Like we paid good money to go, and for some of us, like that was during my trip. That was the day that I was able to make it. So I can't. I don't think I should be punished that I went to the first one and they're still figuring things out. Do a media event. Do an event that's for cast members so you can figure things out then. But don't use live paying guests to try to figure out how this works. And I did see many cast members taking note of things, taking pictures. Like there was a lot of that going on. You listen, don't be cheap and try to save money, like for paying guests. Figure that out before. So I'll say that and I'm done.
I have so many comments. I love actually everything you just said. I love the passion that you're coming with. I love that you said, "How dare you, Disney?" David quoted you in the chat, and I say it back to you when I say, "How dare you about NBC? How dare you?" Anyway,
I'm sorry.
But I do want to like show you this again just to rub this in your face. So if that's
Come
cool.
on. Like,
No,
how can that happen?
So I know this is like they went, what's the coolest thing we could bring out? Santa Duffy? Yeah, let's do that. That'll make them all forget. And again, Jake and I were talking about this offline today, and he was like, they fixed so much. Because he was there first night. He came back when Stitch was there. He said just putting Stitch in a Santa costume putting him there for me, that fixed a lot. But I will say that I went to Oogie Boogie Bash a couple years ago, and they didn't have the zombie cap. And I'm a huge Cap fan, and I was like, when they announced it like near the middle or the end of the run of Oogie Boogie, I felt exactly the way you feel right now. Like, I paid the same amount of money, was there early, thank you Disney, when it wasn't even Halloween, and then you decided to make it better for an event but that was an event that was all sold out and didn't need to be fixed. This is one that they needed to fix, and I feel like they went pretty quickly. But I do think this one deserves extra innings, and I want to throw this one. Throw it to Desi. What are your thoughts after you heard the first week, and then what you've seen fixed, and then what you just heard from Kamila? Go.
First off, I'm offended because I was at Hollywood Studios until 8 and Kamila waited until I was out before she decided to come in. Also, I'm offended that people think like, oh, well, if the first night didn't have it, then nobody else should be able to have it. No, I'm going next week, and the fact that I chose a night that wasn't the first night to go and waited for them to figure things out and work out some of the kinks, I shouldn't be punished for choosing a later night and say, oh, well, because it sucked for the first night, people, it's got to suck for everybody. No, let them figure out the kinks. Let them plus it up. I shouldn't have to suffer because the first night people suffered. I'm super excited to meet Santa Duffy and Santa Stitch and Jiminy Cricket. Like, let's go. I'm honestly not that interested in going to the Brown Derby. Like, why do I want to spend an hour of my 4-hour event time just sitting and eating food? I want to be out there. I want to be doing the experiences. I want to be seeing the shows. I want to be meeting the characters. I'm so glad they added in those characters. doing some of those cool photo ops with the robotic arm. That looks so much fun. So I'm excited. I love that they've plussed this up, and I'm sorry for the people who went the first night, but I'm glad that I didn't. And I'm glad that my ticket is for next week.
I do want to share a super chat.
For you, Desi.
Yeah, I do want to share a super chat before we move on. CK Barry makes me wonder how much institutional knowledge for event planning has gone since layoffs and pandemic. That's a great point. Like, maybe there was a lot of people who knew how to run a brand new event that are no longer there. And also the one thing I didn't, so again, thank you CK Barry for the super chat. Let me throw it back, before I throw it back to Shannon to close this part out, I do want to say the one thing I didn't comment on was the Life Day stuff, which again, I know Desi was like, come on, give me Chewbacca, but you've got this whole land and you've got a holiday that exists, and you could have had any number of representations of Life Day in Galaxy's Edge, because definitely people were going there because of the virtual queue for Rise, so people were going. It seems like there should have been something there for a hard ticket event.
And you know what there was back there? Just the one thing that I did see, because I walked around, because I was like, oh, let me see what they have going on back here. And I did do Rise, but the one thing that I did see is they had cast members walking around letting you know that you could build a droid, or you could do the Savi's lightsaber experience, which I was just like, get away from me. No, I don't want to do that.
So thoughtful. Would you like to drop $300 tonight in addition to your $160
absolutely
ticket?
Not. Nice. Absolutely not.
All right, Shannon, close us out here.
The one thing that came to my mind from the first party to the second party is, do we think that we're reaching a turning point where the blogger-vlogger scene is starting to like really backfire? Like, I none of this played out well, and Disney has the absolute blessing of having all these vloggers and bloggers, and sure, they, Disney puts them in for free, right? Hashtag ad, hashtag sponsor, whatever you want to call it. But at some point, it's not working out so well, because they're the ones going out and telling people, like, don't spend your money on this. I'm not sure if the second party really made up for that or not. I think there's still work to be done, and I think they'll get there. I still stand by that this party holds a lot of promise, and I think that it will get to I think it'll meet expectations at some point in time.
Okay. And I've just been informed by Jake that there will be a food review coming soon for Jollywood Food, so you guys can check that out ahead of time, which again is one of those things like you're talking about, Kamila. It's the very first event. You've never been there. You don't know where to go. I felt that way on the 50th anniversary of Disney World. I walked in at 7 a.m. and I looked around and all I saw were lines. Don't know what any of them are for, but I thought, oh crap, A, I'm already late, and B, I got to get in a line, and C, I don't know what any of them are. So it's like you know you're missing out on something, and that's the worst feeling, especially when you pay for that extra hard ticket event, to know that you're missing out on anything. So I think that's where places like WDWNT come in handy to be able to guide you into what things are available. If you go to the site, look at, search Jollywood, you'll see all of the, the reviews of the shows, the reviews of the food, and hopefully it will help you in navigating this event that you've never been to before, because if you don't know, you could miss out on a bunch of stuff. Same thing with Oogie Boogie. If you don't know about, the villains trail, like, you may miss out on one of the coolest things that's there because, you didn't know it was there. So I do think there's a lot of neat things that we can that we can tell people. But let me ask this one last question before we move on from this one, because you guys talked about and actually Shannon, you talked about this, the vloggers. Do you think that people avoid night one of anything new because it's going to be just bloggers?
Yeah,
everybody's nodding their head.
Yep.
I mean, I think about it. I love being the first at something usually, because usually the first one's the best. Here, not so much, but usually the first one's the best. First day of an attraction, first day at a restaurant, whatever at Disney. But yeah, I wonder. Let's take a look at the poll here. It looks like 31% of the people are saying that the reason that they didn't, that they think people aren't going, is the bad reviews. And again, I'm telling you, if you go to YouTube and you search it, like all these just tragedy, disaster, all these thumbnails that people are really laying into, like, this is, the worst thing that we've ever seen. And, it makes it sound like the Titanic. And so maybe it is, but go ahead.
I
You want to say
I
it?
I just like one of the things that was really shocking to me, and I think it was the Tip Top Bar. Is that what it was called? Like
Tip Top Club.
where the location, Tip Top Club. Thank you. I didn't even bother to learn the name really because I saw that line and I was like, absolutely not. But like it was just shocking to me to see like where they lodged that in, and knowing that it was going to be one of the more popular offerings, and that line was so long, but because like the area where they held it was so small, and I just don't understand like some of the choices that they made. And hopefully they figure out ways to make that better, but like clearly it's something that people want to do. You promoted like, oh, you can go get these special foods and drinks, but then when people actually try to do it, they spend half of their time at this event trying to do that. And you've got to have better management.
I don't think they understand what that means, but but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So again, thanks for going a little bit extra innings on that. Thank you guys for playing along in the poll. It is great to see, get the feedback from you guys of what do you actually think is going on with this stuff. So the let's move on to the next topic, which which speaking of train wrecks is New Year's Eve. And the reason that I say this is I mentioned New Year's Eve before, that I went to I went to a New Year's Eve event at Epcot, and I was told by everyone that is on this blog, "Are you the dumbest person who has ever lived? Why would you go to Disney, come down to Disney on New Year's Eve, because it's going to be so crazy?" And I had like this whole escape plan worked out where like I went to Epcot because I knew it was the biggest park for capacity. Magic Kingdom usually fills up very fast on New Year's Eve, so we went to the fireworks because they do the exact same ones on the 30th. I went there, saw the fireworks on the 30th, went to Epcot on the 31st, and they open up the back areas so that people can actually move and breathe and all that kind of stuff. And then I parked over at Hollywood Studios so that I wouldn't get caught in the buses or the parking lot fiasco at the front, because again, I had heard nightmares. So because of COVID, I don't know if you guys remember, it was a thing. Because of COVID, there's been probably less interest over the years, but I think we're back to the point where everybody's like, full throttle. Let's get into New Year's. So the Fantasy in the Sky fireworks is returning to the Magic Kingdom for this year, but also Epcot is at capacity for New Year's Eve for most ticket types. Thank you, park reservation system, because when I went, there wasn't one, and also after park hopping, you can pretty much go there. So that's going to be an interesting thing. Kamila, do you ever and I know you book trips for people, do they ever tell you New Year's is when I want to go and you laugh in their face? Or do you go, oh, that would be so wonderful, you should totally do that?
I mean, I always warn people, if you're going to go around Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, it is going to be busy. You're going to need to have a plan and, some realistic expectations. But I will say this, like, to me, what's unique about the combination of like did any of the Disney parks and New Year's is Disney does phenomenal fireworks. Like if you are into that and you want to see a great fireworks show, you want to ring in the new year, that's a big thing for you. Or maybe it's a bucket list thing to like really do it big one year for New Year's, then I think absolutely spend it with Disney. You will get a great show. They will do it right. It might be busy, but it also might just be a party everywhere throughout the World Showcase and beyond. And I don't know. I've known people that have gone to Disney and Epcot in particular for New Year's. I've known people that have done some of the special events, and they've always had good things to say, despite sometimes the high cost.
Gotcha. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. Brenda says, I went to New Year's Eve. Wait. She said, we will be there for New Year's Eve, staying at a cabin at Fort Wilderness and braving Magic Kingdom that night. More power to you. That is awesome. I think it would probably be a very magical place to be. I keep telling my wife I would love to be in Times Square just once for New Year's Eve, and she's like, let me know how that is. She will not be attending that. Same thing with like being like in the mall in Washington on the 4th of July. I think that would be a cool thing to do too. So for this, I think Magic Kingdom would be great. I hope that you get in and it's everything. I heard, but again, studying up pre-COVID nightmares, it was like, hey, we did New Year's Eve and then we, we're local and we drove home and we couldn't get out of the parking lot until 4 a.m. And I'm just like, Not something I want to be a part of. Before we move on, Desi, I'm just going to ask you: do you ever go for New Year's Eve, or do you, as someone who
Never.
can drive? Yeah, okay, that's what I figured.
No, I would never.
All right, let's say something you might do then. Let's talk about the festival holidays, and I always call it the Best Fest because I enjoy.
Wait, what?
The holidays?
I'm sorry, Festival of the Arts. Festival of the Arts. Festival Holidays is coming. It's actually coming this week, but no, Festival of the Arts. Thank you for that catch and for the judgment you shot my way. So let's talk about that. One of the things that popped up this week about Festival of the Arts, which hit my feed, and I was like, okay, this is interesting, is a bag that dropped, and it's not by
cute.
Loungefly. It's
I
about
want
it's
it.
by Lug. So Lug was the sponsor of the Destination D23 this year, and they have a lot of small bags and things that they have on display, but they didn't show off this one at the time. And yes, that one definitely looks like kind of an anybody can have it, anybody can wear a bag, but I've seen that in like everybody's feed is like, I need this. So Festival of the Arts is coming up. It usually includes some amazing looking, very Instagrammable foods. So there's a full list of the food booths that are available, and then the merch is always usually pretty over the top for that as well. And then they do Broadway series.
Oh, I thought that was
What?
an advertisement. Sorry.
No, they do the Broadway
I was
series.
like, who are these pretty ladies?
You don't recognize Cassie Levy and Patty Marin at first
No.
glance? How dare you? You know what? But I mean, the Broadway series is pretty fun. They usually hold it in the American Gardens theater, and they do kind of a medley of all the Disney shows that they've done before, and it's pretty fun. So I think this one's pretty unique. But Desi, talk to me. Do you go to this one a lot? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you want some more of it?
Yes to everything. It is my favorite festival. I'm so excited for it. But please, somebody make regular sized cute backpacks, because I would love to buy my kids one of these Figment backpacks if it was big enough to hold anything in. Why are we making backpacks this big? Please, can we make just regular size backpacks that are also cute? Because all of the regular size backpacks, not cute at all. What the heck? But I am super excited for the Festival of the Arts, and shout out to my friend Adam Schickling, who's one of the artists who will be there.
That's a public service announcement from Desi. Make good backpacks.
And
Shannon,
that person's art may or may not be in Desi's view. Very cool.
great. Will you also be at his booth signing stuff?
He will be at his booth signing stuff.
But you won't be there with him.
I will be buying stuff.
That makes sense. All right, Shannon, thoughts?
This is the best festival, and I can't wait to go see it. I think the biggest downfall of this festival, I guess similar to Festival of the Holidays, is that it's very short. And like you said, Rob, I was trying to find a weekend to go, and I actually thought about going for opening weekend of Festival of the Arts, and I realized that is probably just a terrible mistake. But I love that backpack, and I'm conflicted. Do I try to go that first weekend and get that backpack before they're all gone and listed on eBay, or I don't know. But I'm gonna try to be there this year. It's the moral of that story.
We're a very scary crew, aren't we? Because there was Festival of the Arts one year and I didn't get to go, and I was like, but they have the Figment magnet, and I should fly down, get the Figment magnet, and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to do that, rather than waiting for someone who doesn't want it to list it on eBay for $1.99.
Yeah.
And because it's just different when you pick it up yourself. But as we've also talked about, picking up a magnet is a lot more difficult these days. Let's talk about Figment, because Figment is, not only is he the ambassador of Festival of the Arts for some strange reason, and they have him at just every festival. They smatter him all over everything, and yet they disrespect him when it comes to his attraction. They need to give him a better attraction. So apparently our boy headed out by himself to Hollywood, to Burbank, to look into, like, I guess, tease the film that he's making, or that they're making about Figment. So there was some TikTok videos about that. But there was also a video of him with an idea book walking into Imagineering. You are killing me, Disney, with this. Like, if this is not something legitimate that they're teasing, there's going to be riots in downtown Disney, in Disney Springs. We will, we're going to have to do something about it. But I don't know, Desi, did you see this? Are you thinking that this does mean there will be something new coming our way?
I don't know. I hope so. My kids love Figment, but they don't like going on the ride because they hate the skunk scene in the smell lab.
Sure.
So when I told them that we could actually meet Figment now, they were so excited. They were willing to go on the ride just so that they could meet Figment at the end. And I would love for them to be able to go on a ride that they actually enjoy going on, with Figment, because they love Figment. They just don't like the ride itself. And we're talking about 3-year-olds, right? So if 3-year-olds even say that this ride is bad, and it's not just us Disney adults, I think they need to do something to fix this ride, and I hope that they are. So let's hope it's a sign of good things to come. Look
Well,
how
again,
cute.
I know.
Adorable.
Again, he's meeting up with everybody there. What I find funny about this is I assume that that they put Figment on a plane. This is how I picture it. They put Figment on a plane and flew him out to California with his idea book to go into Imagineering, because he doesn't live in California. He doesn't have a place in Toontown or anything like that. Wouldn't it be? Let me ask you this, Shannon. Would it be the worst thing if they designed a brand new Figment attraction for Disneyland and not for Epcot?
Oh no, that'd be
Shut your
blasphemy.
mouth.
There's no way. There's no
They
way.
could.
No one would
Why
allow
not?
it.
No?
No one would allow it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that would be something though, because I've been in California and like been, wearing a Figment t-shirt, and the cast members are jealous because we have so many original characters in Florida with Orange Bird and Figment, and apparently Ollie now. Who's not jealous of Ollie the gingerbread man? But it'll be interesting to see how all that shakes out. So anyway, Kamila, anything on Figment before we move on?
Figment character breakfast, new Figment show. Those are my guesses.
So not an actual attraction, probably. That character breakfast with Figment
Could
would
be.
be pretty interesting. A character breakfast with one character. Maybe you could add Dreamfinder to that. Maybe you have Nigel walking around. I don't know. Who wants to meet him? Nobody.
There, I mean, there's a park down the road that shall not be named that does it, and it's very successful. Sells out immediately for the holiday season.
Are you talking about the Spider-Man?
Grinchmas? No
No, I'm
Grinchmas?
kidding. It was a
Oh,
joke.
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Oh.
because the Grinch. Anyway, yeah. So I agree with you. I think it would be great. Let's talk about this, because Imagination Campus is a thing I'm not super familiar with. So, but I do think it's interesting what they're doing. So one of the things is apparently Imagination Campus had taken up some space or some residence in California at the Blue Sky Cellar, which used to be called the Blue Sky Cellar because you could go in and see what things they were building in the future. So you would see models of, like, here's what Pixar Pier will look like, or here's what Cars Land will look like, because it was blue sky. It made sense. I don't know why they would have put the Imagination Campus in there, but what they ended up saying here is that they're going to be moving that out and making a DVC Welcome Center. Kamila, do we think a DVC Welcome Center
No,
is
no, they don't need it. No, no.
not
I'm
okay? Tell me what you
no.
think first.
I'm so upset about this because like the way they're moving things around, and I know I don't think you've gotten to this part yet, but like this also involves like the Beast Library, which is just the most, like, it's the cutest little area. And like especially if you have kids, but even if you're just a big kid, or a forever kid, like it's just such a, like, the ambiance in there is incredible, and it just feels lazy that, because I think that's where they're going to move. Like they're going to put like where they meet with youth groups and things, I think is what they're putting in that. But it sounds like they're kind of doing away with it, or the general public will no longer be able to access it. And I hate that. I hate that a lot.
No, that is what they're saying they're doing, is that they're taking, which the animation building in California is special because they still do things that they don't do anymore in Florida. They took the Interventions building and made it Launch Bay in California, but in Florida they took the animation building and made it Launch Bay, and now you don't get to draw Mickey Mouse or replace Ursula's voice or things like that. So I think that the the Beast library is going to become the Imagination Campus location, which is really weird. I actually have gone to that space to like get away from people before, because if you're looking for a quiet place in Disneyland to like have a phone call or to sit down, there aren't many, and so I remember literally going like, no one's going to be in there, and people are in there and hanging out, but it's pretty quiet because it feels like a library, but it's not. But it's a neat little place, and it's kind of tucked away, and there's not a lot of those places at Disneyland. So I agree with you. I hate to see it go away. Saturday Night Live did a bit about this. I'm not going to talk about the bit, but if you've seen it, they literally mentioned it, and that's how I found out about it first, about the Beast closing down. But the Imagination Campus, I'm glad they have programs, but you shouldn't close down public spaces. And I think that's what you're saying. They shouldn't close down public spaces to make that happen. So. Yeah, I'm going to miss the Beast Library because that kind of stuff, you don't really get to see too much of that anymore. So, Desi, thoughts on that before we move on? Do you have any clue about the Imagination Campus? My wife's a teacher. I said, what's the deal with this? She goes, I don't know.
I didn't even know that the Beast Library was a thing. So it's all new to me. I'm not a Disneylander.
Well, when you go through the book, it tells you like who it thinks you are based on choices you make. So there's like a book in the library, and you go, it's like this or that, this or that, this or that, and then it's like it's like drum roll, Bell, because you do this, this, and this, and it's like, oh, cool. It's basically a big Cosmo test, but made by Imagineering. So. Yeah. Cosmo? Nobody? Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. This was an interesting story that came up, and I was looking to do an entire, it came from the parks, but we didn't have enough crazy this week, so we're going to talk about this one.
It's because I was there. I kept things mellow.
Did you? Did you keep the Epcot drinking to a minimum?
Like I was like, everyone keep it together. Yeah. Keep it together.
You're like, please focus. So, shout out to the people who work tirelessly on WDWNT.com to bring us articles like, do you want to see my bra? Irate guest waves bra around at Disney World, strikes cast member. Again, legally that's the longest title you're allowed to have, I think. So there's that. So but I call this security shenanigans because you know what, none of us really love going through security. We know it's a necessary evil. Every time I go through, I like sort through before I leave the room my bag, and I go, what's going to set off the bag? What's going to set this off today? Is it that I have 2 fuel rods sitting side by side? Is it that I have a bag of pins, that I want to trade? What's going to set the bag off today? And I hold like 9 things out in front of me when I go, and they're like, oh, sorry, you got to go stand over here. And it's just when I make it through, it's like the rest of my day is going to be amazing if I make it through security and don't get stopped. But this one, she got stopped. They were going through stuff, and she yelled, do you want to see my bra? And like, no, don't really want to see that. And apparently she struck the guy, but she says, no, I didn't. And then, basically what I want to know is, Shannon, why did you do it?
Oh my gosh, that is so mean. I would never, Rob. I don't have anything else really to say about it other than what you already said, which is like, we all have to do this, and at the end of the day, it is for your safety and your security. Suck it up, Buttercup, wait in line, and deal with it like everyone else.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Aw, that's such a sweet sentiment. Anything we want to say, Desi, before we move on?
I mean, I have gone and I try to make sure that I've got everything out of my bag that could possibly set off security. There have been times where, I forgot that I had something in my bag, and I had packed, some extra change of clothes, and I've got unmentionables in there that I wouldn't necessarily want anybody to see. Security could go through it. They can see it. They could even pull it out of the bag. I'm not saying a darn word. I'm just like, nope, I'm not having this conversation. I'm just pretending this isn't happening. Why are you getting irate? Why are you calling attention to the fact that your undies and your bra are in your bag? Please no.
Again, I mean, you're right. But it does get frustrating in that line. I get that. I stood at the Animal Kingdom line. They're like, go over to that table. I waited behind 18 people. There was an empty table 2 rows down, but no, go to that table. And the other people are sitting there basically playing like Emoji Blitz, and I'm standing there waiting, losing daylight during this thing, and it was a little bit frustrating. So I get it, but also, I mean, let's be kind to the cast members. They're just doing their job. At the end of the day, that really is, we just need to be kind to each other, and let's just, especially the people who are doing this. I bring this up because I find this fascinating. So we heard that they were going to be adding the Little Mermaid. This is for California. They're going to be adding the Little Mermaid attraction to Genie Plus, which is great whenever they add something to that feature without raising the price. That's good. But this I found very interesting is that they've taken the entrance that has been the entrance since the dawn of time and makes the most sense, and they put up a sign and a cast member to say this is no longer the entrance to this attraction. It looks like the entrance. It certainly has always been the entrance. It's decorated for the holidays. Please come in, but don't. And so they send you all the way down to another cast member, all the way down to the front of the thing, and then they line you up and they check your fast pass. So they're lightning lane. So they haven't had lightning lane here before. I like the little lightning lane with the seaweed on it. That's kind of cool.
You know what?
So they bring you in a different way, but please, Kamila, what have you got on this one?
They're really trying it with this. What they're doing, first of all, that like having the little themed lightning lane like check-in, like please miss me with that, Disney. You're trying it.
Wow.
And it's not cute, and I know what you're doing. I think because the way that line currently works, I think they couldn't figure out a way to put lightning lane in, but they, for whatever reason, they wanted to do it. And in fairness to them, during busier times of the year, like what we're about to see with Thanksgiving coming up and the holiday season, that line can swell. But I think they had to find a place to put the lightning lane because they decided to add it. I think it's a terrible idea because even when there's more of a line, it's still, I've never seen it past like 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30 on a very busy day. But it's constantly moving because it's like an omni-mover attraction. And so I feel like this is them just trying to find a place to make the lightning lane work when they know realistically this should not be a lightning lane attraction, and they're just taking away one more attraction that was easier to get on and kind of kept things moving and was a people eater, and they're just making it a nightmare. And then dressing it up with trying to put the little under the sea paint. I hate it. I think it's a mistake.
Okay. All right. So I can't tell though, pro or con. How are you feeling about this? No, I'm just kidding. I definitely see what you're saying. And again, to me, this is one of those attractions that when it first opened, I was there when they opened it. It used to be Golden Dreams. It was a show that I never got to see, and then they changed it so that it looks almost like a theater from the outside, as opposed to ours in Florida. Looks like you're going to Prince Eric's castle and all that. So this one. But both of them have always had notoriously short wait times because they cycle people through so quickly because it's an omni-mover. So you don't really need that. But you're right. Like, they're going to start to logjam this thing with trying to add lightning lane to it, and it'll be a little bit more frustrating. But for people who go all the time, just a heads up, they have changed the entrance. Let's move on to Frozen Land. So this is Hong Kong. They're doing Frozen. We all know that it actually opens officially on the 20th. Today is the 19th here. I don't know what time it is there. But so we have Bob Iger and Josh D'Amaro attended the World of Frozen grand opening and included a drone show. Look how happy they are. Look at all the citizens of Arendelle and how they look. This, to me, is an amazing land.
That looks
Uh,
amazing.
right, right. I mean, this is something that I would love to see. However, there is something about this that I thought was even cooler. This puppet. This is Mossy. Oh my gosh, Mossy, yes, please. Why is Mossy right now, today, immediately not hanging out in front of the Norway Pavilion? I don't get it, because this is amazing. It can't be that big a deal to get Mossy's friend. There's a lot of trolls. Any of the trolls could be there. You leave Mossy in Hong Kong, but like, bring Mossy's friend to Florida. I would love to see them institute a little bit of this, because I feel like that attraction in Florida at Epcot is, I don't know, it just, I look at this and I cry a little bit. But Shannon, thoughts on Hong Kong, and we'll see a lot more from it. Tom is there. We're gonna be doing reviews. But what are your thoughts right now?
My thought is, like, going back to our first topic of the night, is like, why give us another Pandora in Disneyland when we can have a Frozen Land? Because let's be honest, I know the chances of me ever going to Hong Kong are slim to none. It's probably never going to happen in my lifetime. So I'm never going to be able to see this, in person. So considering how powerful Frozen is as an IP in the United States, it's a little mind-boggling that they have yet to do something of this scale in either of the U.S. parks. So I'm bummed out. I'm excited to see it and for the people who get to experience it, but I'm personally bummed out.
Yeah, I understand that. Desi?
I I want that puppet here also. And I'm just wondering what timeline this land is supposed to be taking place in. Like, is it taking place after Frozen 2? Is it taking place just from the original Frozen movie? I find that curious because apparently we're going to have 4 Frozen movies, so how well is this going to age? Who knows what's going to happen with the next couple movies? So it's another thing that, like, I find is weird with Toy Story Land, is that it's Andy's backyard, but then Forky shows up. I don't know.
What happened? What happened to your suspension of disbelief when it comes to that stuff? I mean, come on, you need to just, you need to let it go. Anyway, so let's talk about this. So there's a new addition to the Haunted Mansion at the Magic Kingdom, and I was like, oh my gosh, finally we're getting, because have we heard anybody talking about the Hatbox Ghost recently? Wasn't that supposed to be, I don't know, done already? Halloween's passed. The movie's already been out for and then moved to Disney Plus. You guys are missing opportunity after opportunity. So I'm like, oh, cool. Something new materializes at the Haunted Mansion, and it's definitely the Candleman. I mean, that's cool. Because it's a tribute to Raleigh Crump's work here with this little character, but it's so small. I think we had to kind of really search to figure out where it was. It's great that it's there, but Kamila, I mean, where's the Hatbox Ghost?
I was wondering this. I was just on Haunted Mansion. I kept keeping an eye out, thinking like, oh, am I going to see it? Am I going to see it? And I didn't see it. I'm curious if I was there when this was there as well, but I don't think I was. I don't know. It's I don't know. Where is the Hatbox Ghost? What takes so long? It's not like they're creating it from scratch. They've made one before.
Yeah,
Make another
I
one.
agree. I mean, they've got to have parts from the other one, right? So looking at this, it says that it's on a table in the attic. It says it's sitting, appears in the attic scene on a table near the set of armor, and it sits amongst a pile of trinkets. So, okay. Again, it's cool because it's a throwback to Raleigh Crump. I would have thought this would have been something they would have done at Disneyland because that's where he worked on the original attraction out there first. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, why are we still waiting? And it's almost December, folks. And why are we still waiting on the Hatbox Ghost that they announced at D23 Expo in 2022, I guess? And you're right, like it's already been there. Why are we waiting so long on this? So, yeah. All right. So let's move on to this one. So there Disney, I don't know if you guys have heard, Disney is in a little bit of a spat sometimes with Florida. It's I'm sure you guys have not heard about that at all. We usually don't talk about that on ParksCenter, but I found this fascinating and wanted to share it. Is that they said that Walt Disney creates $40 billion economic impact in Florida, according to a new study. Now, it's a study that Disney commissioned, but it says that because of this, they have a $40 billion total impact, which includes the businesses that they contract to do work there, the direct and indirect jobs that they are accountable for. These are staggering numbers. And it says, and this is the one that's the most telling here, is that if we pulled out of here, you guys would go from the 21st in unemployment to the second highest in unemployment. These are some big fighting words when it comes to this stuff. But I'm more interested in the fact that this is how important this entity is in Florida and how big it is to that community. So I think that's kind of amazing. I want to throw that to Kamila and say, like, I mean, when you look at these numbers, like I would love to see how this affects Anaheim, because Anaheim keeps turning their nose up at everything that Disneyland wants to do, because they're like, nah, we like it the way things are now. So when you look at this, what are you thinking?
I mean, Disney's success in Orlando, in Florida, I think is huge for a lot of other entities. Like, obviously, anyone in hospitality, there are resorts that'll put special versions. Like, I'm thinking of the Drury Inn, like their version that they have close to the Magic Kingdom. Is really special when it comes to, all of the people who can have businesses doing things like transportation, all of the other services, the people who kind of do their own version of like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. It's huge. But also, I will say, other theme parks in the area, I think in part can exist because so many people are coming down to Orlando to go to Disney, and then they're adding on days to other places. Hey, let's, pop over to SeaWorld. Let's pop over to Universal. And over time, that could extend into longer trips at those other places. But I definitely feel like for many people, Disney is the anchor. It's the reason why we go to Orlando, to that part of the country. And it's huge. It's clearly a major driver of business for a lot of different industries.
Yeah, Desi, when you go to Disneyland, or I'm sorry, to Disney World, do you pop over to SeaWorld?
I've been to SeaWorld once in the past like 30 years. I would like to know how much credit Disney is patting themselves on the back for, and how much credit they're taking for everything. Like, are they saying this $40 billion impact, Universal, like they're counting every dollar that Universal makes because, well, people wouldn't be going to Universal if Disney wasn't here first. Same with SeaWorld. All the money that all the beaches are making because, like, well, people are going to Disney and then they're going to go to the beach, and so they wouldn't
Kennedy
come to Florida
Center
and go to the beach. Like, how much of it is actually Disney and how much is it they're taking credit for?
Well, since they actually commissioned the study, I'm sure they're the only ones that know. And it probably works in their favor. Isn't that the fun part about numbers, is they usually work in your favor? But again, I feel like it's a staggering number. I mean, we knew that they were, a big deal. And I don't disagree with you, Kamila. I think that that's a reason a lot of people go. But I do think Disney's gotten so expensive that I have friends and colleagues that I know who go down and they don't go to Disney. They do go to SeaWorld, and they do go to some of these other places. And I think all of us, including the people watching, know, like, we've got our eye on Epic Universe. Like, what's that going to do? Like, and there's going to be a new train station that goes there and new hotels, So even though Disney opened that door way back when, are they still taking advantage of it, or are they pricing themselves out of the game and not keeping up? Because when we were talking earlier about like attractions and things like that like Hong Kong, there's really nothing that I can think of domestically that's still under construction and ready to like start like happening, other than the renovation of Tiana in Florida and in California, and the Communicore Center at Epcot. Like, other than those two, those projects, am I missing anything? Like, Adventureland Treehouse is open, Tron is open, Guardians is open, Ratatouille is open. The things we knew were coming that are under construction or open. Like, we've heard some pie in the sky stuff from Josh, but what else is coming? It feels like I mean, the summer house at Disney Springs. Okay. I mean, I'm excited for that cookie bar, but I'm just looking around going, there need to do more, because again, in 2025, there's going to be a brand new park that I want to see. I want to go to Super Nintendo World on the East Coast, and I want to see the, How to Train Your Dragon's Land. So I feel like Disney, if they want to keep touting this number, which I know has to do with the fight that they're having, it's got to be, they need to kind of keep going. So we can talk about that another day. Go ahead.
If I could just, you took out Primeval Whirl. What else is coming in, replacement? Because you took out one of my favorite rides. What's going to come instead?
They're building Casita, maybe. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, they talked about the Tropical Americas, maybe. But before that, they had talked about some other stuff, and then they changed the plan. So I do think they want to do something else there, but it's not under construction. And we've seen from the 5 years it took to make Pandora, or the 5 years it took to make Tron, it does not happen quickly. And there's nothing where they've put a shovel in the dirt yet that I know of to do all these things. So I'm excited to hear more from them. They have talked about a 10-year plan, but like we talked about last week on the show, most of that stuff's coming end of that 10-year plan. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff to see. Guardians of the Galaxy just won an award for the attraction Cosmic Rewind. They didn't win the award. Disney won the award for. The Guardians weren't presented with it, is what I'm saying. But I do think that it's one of those things where, like, they do innovate, and like the droid project that they've got going in Disneyland, all that kind of stuff looks great. But I want to see more stuff. I'm hungry for them to make announcements that are actually happening, rather than tell us about stuff that may or may not happen. And then also, where's my Hatbox Ghost? The end. So let's talk about final. Go ahead.
I would love to see Drax go up and accept that award, though.
Not going to happen. Dave Bautista said bye-bye. So let's talk about this final thing, because I thought this was interesting, and I know we're going a little long tonight, but Disney dining plan requirements change for Fantasmic, that it's included. The dining package for Fantasmic is 1 credit. If you eat at 50s Primetime, Hollywood and Vine, Mama Melrose, or Sci-Fi, it's still 2 if you go to Hollywood Brown Derby. So this is for the Disney dining plan, which is coming in 2024, is returning in 2024. I think this is a good thing. Like, let's end on a positive. I think that's a neat thing. Kamila, thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love that because basically now, if you are someone who has a dining plan and you're going to go and spend a day at Hollywood Studios, then it's a no-brainer that you're going to, as a planner, I'm going to work with you to make a reservation for the Fantasmic dining package at one of the eligible locations, and it's a 1 credit. There's a number of them that are 1 credit. I think Hollywood Brown Derby was the only one that was 2 credits, and especially if you have a family, you're probably not thinking about Brown Derby too much anyway. So I love this. It's such an easy win. It's basically, if you have the dining plan, you're going to Hollywood Studios, we're going to get you that Fantasmic dining package, and you're going to go and have premium seating and a really wonderful time at an excellent show. It's an easy win, and good job, Disney. More of this.
Yeah, Shannon, you like premium dining? Premium spots.
Yeah, I mean, I would not use this on, 2 credits for Brown Derby for this. But, I mean, regardless, I do think this is also great. And this is something that we did as a family when I was a kid. We always did the Fantasmic dining package. And now that you can use the dining plan for it, I think that's wonderful, and people should take advantage. Yeah, about it.
Very cool. All right. Well, we have we have overextended our time, but I think there was a lot to cover, especially with some passion about Jollywood tonight. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you guys at home for watching. We appreciate you, and we appreciate our WIGS members, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. We love our WIGS. Thank you guys for being WIGS members. If you want to learn more about the WIGS program, you can go to patreon.com/WDWNT to learn how to be part of the family. Also, I wanted to mention that we had been selling these They say Jollywood Nights on them, but they don't have to mean Jollywood Nights. Yeah, like you've got your shirt on. We have these long sleeve Gertie shirts that we sold out of. We had them on sale. They sold out in like 20 minutes. It was crazy. So we have restocked at carouselofproducts.com. You can
Oh, it's
see
super
that,
cute.
yeah, there's Gertie. Here's what it looks like. And again, very similar to the one that Desi's wearing in green. We have the red ones, and just very excited about that because we love us some Gertie and some Santa Gertie. Come on, that's over the top cute. And then just a reminder, programming wise, for ParksCenter is, and this has been our show schedule for a while here. Tonight is the 19th, but we're going to be on for the marathon next Sunday. But from 3 to 5, go figure, because there's going to be an auction during the night. But we're going to be on the marathon, which is our Toys for Tots marathon to raise money for Toys for Tots, our 50-hour marathon at WDWNT. ParksCenter will be a part of that. And then we'll have regular shows on the 3rd, the 10th, and then on the 17th of December is going to be our 250th ParksCenter episode, and our last one of the year. So please come back every week for ParksCenter. We'll see you next week on during the marathon 3 to 5. There'll be more information about that. But again, it's for a great cause, and we're excited to be a part of that. And if you are a Wigs member, we have a post show after this, so don't go anywhere. And have a great week. We appreciate you. Hopefully you'll join us for Deep in the Plus on Wednesday night when we're talking about Loki. Oh, props. Me and Desi will be talking about Loki on Wednesday night. So come join us. We'll talk to you very soon. Thank you, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. And Desi never sings.
Never.
Desi, we need to get you like a triangle, and you can just like do the triangle.